all, this is M.Daniel and welcome to the video. So today we are going to discuss about what is pathology and what are the different things that comes under the heading of core of pathology and what are the different terminologies come under the subject of pathologies. So in the upcoming videos we will also discuss different chapters. So let's start. So first of all, we will see what is pathology. Basically, pathology is the term that comes from the Greek word pathos, meaning experience or suffering, and logi means we all know that it means study. So this is basically the literal meaning of pathology. What is the definition of pathology? Pathology is the study of structural and functional causes of human diseases. So this is the literal meaning of pathology, and this is the definition of pathology. So what are the core of pathology? There are four things which are basically makes the core of pathology. First one is etiology, second one is pathogenesis or pathophysiology, third one is the morphological changes, and fourth one is clinical significance. So etiology means what are the causes of the disease? Let's suppose hypertension. So as you know, hypertension is disease, and in the etiology of that particular disease, we study the causes of disease. Pathogenesis mean, or we can say what is the pathophysiology. In the pathophysiology, we consider what is the mechanism that how the disease develop in the body. What are the mechanics that how disease develop in the body, and through that disease, what different structural changes produce or induced by that particular disease is called morphological changes or the morphological change. And through that morphological change, what outcomes we face are basically comes under the category of clinical significance of that particular disease. And basically, what are the consequences? What are the complications of that disease? We basically call the clinical significance. And now comes to the different terminologies which are basically used in pathology, and these are also known as cellular adaptations. What is meant by cellular adaptation? Cellular adaptation means when any cell or tissue or a system in our body undergoes a change in its original structure or function due to some environmental or external changes, the cell or tissue or physiology change itself to defend that particular change that occurring in the environment is basically the term cellular adaptation, that how cell adapts its upcoming pattern of its living. So this is basically the cellular adaptations of a particular cell. So in the cellular adaptations, we will see the different terminologies like what first one is the hypertrophy. Hypertrophy is basically increase in the mass of the cell or increase cell size. The hyperplasia means increase in the number of the cells, not in the mass. Atrophy means decreased cell mass. And in the upcoming page, we will see what are the different examples of hypertrophy, hyperplasia, atrophy, and metaplasia. And metaplasia is basically the change of one particular type of cell into another particular type of cell is basically comes under the category of metaplasia. So these are four terminologies. What are the examples? Now we will see what are the examples of these different terminologies. So what are the examples of the hypertrophy? There are basically two examples of hypertrophy. First one is pathological hypertrophy, and second one is and first one is pathological, and second one is physiological. Pathological means which is basically due to a disease condition. And the example of that pathological hypertrophy is basically cardiac hypertrophy due to hypertension. Because as we know, due to the increase in the blood pressure, the chambers of our heart becomes enlarged. This is basically the term known as cardiac hypertrophy or increase in the mass of the myocytes. And physiological change is not due to any disease because it is due to the change in the physiology, and this is bodybuilding because the myocytes do not divide and they only increase in the size. These are two examples of the hypertrophy. Now comes to the example of the hyperplasia. Hyperplasia, as we know, basically is the increase in the number of the cells, increased breast size. And this increase in the breast size is the example of physiological change. And this increase in the breast size is due to the increase in the number of the cells which are present in the breast. So this is the example of the hyperplasia. And this is another example of uh, hyperplasia. This is the physiological and this is pathological. Enlargement of the uterus during pregnancy. And this increase in the or enlargement of the uterus is basically increase in the number of the cells. First, the number of the cells will increase, and then definitely the size of the cell will increase. And the pathological change is basically increase in the number of the cells in the BPH. What is meant by BPH? BPH means benign prostate hyperplasia, and this is a pathological change. And this BPH develops due to increase the release of the testosterone. Now come to the example of atrophy. Atrophy, as we know, is the decrease in the cell mass, and the example of the atrophy are polio and sickle cell anemia. Basically, this is the degeneration or reduction in the number of the cells or increase cell size. And here there are some causes of the atrophy. First one is the mutation. Third one is poor circulation of different cells or tissues of the body, loss of hormonal support. Third one is the apoptosis of the cell or the lack of the exercise or the loss of nerve supply. These are basically few causes of the atrophy of a cell. What is the metaplasia? As we know, metaplasia is basically the conversion of a particular type of cell into another. The example of this, the metaplasia is basically the conversion of ciliated columnar epithelium, which is basically present in the trachea, are converted into the pseudo stratified squamous epithelium. Now, what is the different function of these cells? Ciliated columnar epithelium basically produce mucus in the trachea, and pseudo stratified squamous epithelium does not produce mucus in the trachea. So this is the functional difference of these two cells, and this some sort of metabolism basically develops in the people who are smokers, that who the masses or the folks, those who are smokers. So in the upcoming video, we will see what is the cellular injury, what is the cell injury, what are the types of the cell injury, and what is the difference between um, apoptosis and necrosis. Thank you very much. Please support my work. Please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you very much.